It is Wednesday evening. That means it's time for another Auburn family night. And boy, what a week it is to be doing an Auburn family night. We're going to get into it, all of your comments, your questions, and of course, your calls tonight. Let's get into it right now. War Eagle Auburn family and War Eagle E2C Network family, thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay, we appreciate you being here and hanging out with us, spending some time being a part of our little family within the Auburn family. As I opened up the show, this is a humongous week. We are less than 3 days away from college football. Well, it's already started, but college football for Auburn fans getting started and the majority of the other college teams out there. I know that is predominantly what your minds are centered around tonight, predominantly what you are going to want to discuss, and we will oblige in that. But always know that on Auburn Family Nights, it is about you. It is about your comments, your questions, your calls, what you want to discuss, we will get into tonight. So this is going to be bouncing all over the different places, even while I wore a softball shirt tonight, just so that you guys know that there are other things that are important to talk about too. But of course, we know football is going to be king tonight. Let's get the show started how we always do so. Would love for you to start us off on a good note tonight by smashing that like button. It doesn't matter if you're watching here on YouTube, Facebook, wherever else, wherever you're watching, smash the like button, the share button. Tell a friend that we're live so that they can come join our little family within the Auburn family. That's a humongous help to us. And of course, we would love for you to start the process of commenting and chatting along with us by posting where you're watching from, your city, your state. If you're international, that's very helpful as well with a War Eagle. Let us know who's here hanging out with us, spending some time being a part of the show tonight. I see a bunch of you already checking in. You will say hello in just a little bit. I already kind of laid the table out, set the table is my fun little phrase I always use, but really, I know that most people want to discuss the football team tonight, and we're obviously going to do that. We're obviously going to talk a little bit about what to expect from us this week. It's a big week for us at E2C Network in terms of what we love to provide to you, the Auburn family, that particularly on game day / game weekend. Barring unforeseen circumstances, I have a humongous weekend planned for you all. Lots of content that you can't get anywhere else. Yes, there are plenty of options out there in the Auburn sphere, but you will not get anything else that is more centered about you guys and what you want to see. A lot of experiences. Tiger Walk, the Four Corners Pep Rally. You're going to have, obviously, analysis after the game. Before the game, we're just going to cover you up with content here at YouTube all over the place. So that's what you've got on tap tonight. And going forward, a lot of fine people checking in with us already. Big Simp in the house, Megan, David, and Kim on Facebook. Thank you guys so much. And we are starting a little bit early tonight. So I know that some of our regular crowd will probably start milling in here in a little bit. But it's such a big week. Why not get started just a little bit earlier and get the juices rolling tonight? The phone lines are open if you would like to call in tonight. It's always brought to you by our friends at allthingsauburn.net. Please do check them out if you can. You can get access that at the top of the YouTube chat tonight. It should be pinned up there. If it's not, let me know. I can go fix that. But it should be available for you all now. And I'll put the reminder down here for you to call in tonight if you want to talk to me. You can be on camera. You can be off camera. It doesn't matter. It's your choice. We just want to hear and see your smiling faces, hear your voices tonight. John, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. One of our Conquer Club members, and Big Simp too is a Conquer Club member. That I haven't really laid this out officially yet, but if you are a YouTube member here, if you are a Patreon member, you are part of the same thing now, just different ways to get there and a little bit of difference in what you get at each place, but it's pretty comparable. But I always want to recognize those people that are able to go a little bit step extra for us and help support what we do here. So thank you so much. Let's get into it. What do you want to discuss? I will open up the floor with whatever is on my mind until you guys direct me a different direction. I am your puppet. You are the puppeteers tonight. So we will talk about what you want to discuss. Big Simp doesn't even want to talk about Auburn right now. He said, "I'm personally can't wait to see the Colorado versus TCU game. I understand why. That is, I don't even know what time that is. That's a noon kickoff, isn't it? Feels like one of those big noon games, or what do they call them on Fox? Um, Obviously, Deion Sanders, if we can tie it back to Auburn, being one of the supposed candidates for the Auburn job at one point. I'm sure he was. I'm sure there was, I won't necessarily say it was contact between the two, but maybe representatives feeling out the situation for both. It'll be interesting to see if the Deion Sanders experiment gets off on a roaring start or if it's still going to take a little bit of time. My guess is we'll see a little bit of fireworks this season with Colorado and with him. I mean, good fireworks, and then maybe it kind of even back out as we go along. Who knows? We might be talking about maybe Deion should have been the one we hired down the road. I don't think that's going to be very happy with Hugh Freeze so far and what he's accomplished. I will remind you all today, on Wednesdays, they do their SEC teleconference with all the SEC coaches. And it's an opportunity for media members to obviously listen in, but to call in and ask questions. When we were on the call today, obviously enjoyed hearing Hugh Freeze for the very first time on that as the Auburn head coach. So that was an interesting dynamic. Last 2 years we've been a part of that, listening to Brian Harsin and then Cadillac for the last part of the season as the representative for Auburn was just wild, just absolutely wild. But enjoyed it today. And so if you ever are curious about what's being said in that, we usually do a Twitter thread, an X thread, whatever it's called, of all the basic notes that you need from what's being said during that teleconference on Wednesdays. We typically do the Monday ones as well, press conferences. So be looking for that if you're interested in those type of things. I hope we win Saturday, Cody says. You and all of us here, Cody, unless you're a rogue fan from somewhere else who doesn't want to behave. I guess you don't have to behave and not want us to win. I guess that's not, those are mutually exclusive. Is that the right way to say it? Either way. What's funny is a lot of our content that we've been sharing with you guys on social media is doing very well right now. Thank you so much of y'all that are consuming that, helping that. But we're getting a lot of the other fans coming now and try to, egg on Auburn fans. And I just look at them and I'm like, is your life that miserable that you've got to come to another fan's page, like uninvited, and just spew like hate? Like in a public forum, such as a football game or at somebody else's house, everything's fair game, but you chose to come over to another fan's social media and be just a butt. How despicable are you? I mean, like, that's just weird. Now, if you're a friend of somebody and you're messing with a friend, that's all in good fun. It's just weird sometimes. Big Simp says, happy with Freeze. I support Deion, though. We have the best out of the two. I believe so, and I think time will prove that Hugh was the better fit for Auburn, especially when it comes to long term. We've talked about this when we were back in December and November, talking about who was going to be the next head coach at Auburn, and trying to compare what was the best decision for Auburn. For me, it had very little to do with anything other than who was going to stay at Auburn the longest. Hugh, somebody looking to reestablish himself and win back over the favor of everybody, would be very, I think, endeared to Auburn. He seems to be, and would stay as long as he has success and we allow him to here. On the flip side, Deion's a rising star, and really the sky is the limit for him. He's really wanting to cut his teeth wherever he can. Colorado, I think we all acknowledge, is not his final stop. I think Colorado understands that, which is why you see them going in wholesale to him right now while you've got that star power, that magnitude. So I think we definitely, for us, got the better of the two. David wants Colorado heel stomped. I mean, I always root for the underdog, and Colorado will be the underdog in that. Who do I think the running back will be? Well, that's a loaded question, Noah, and I think I know what you mean, but let me just talk about it. There's not just one running back. There's a whole stable full of them every single season. Hugh was asked today on the teleconference whether Jarquez would face a suspension, and the questions have to be asked by the media. because those are the questions that the fans want to know, even if they know the answer they're going to get, right? So it's that weird dynamic where the question has to be asked, you know the answer, why are we even doing this? But if you didn't do it, then they'd be mad at someone else. Mr. Chandler Fullman in the house. What's going on, Chandler? Chandler, you need to call in. I know you're on Facebook, but if you come over to the YouTube side, there's a link up there. You need to call in and talk to me, sir. Good to see you. He is a good friend, and he is I'll call him former, but he's only former in the sense that he doesn't have an active show here on E2C right now, but you've heard him on Hitchcock Hecklers. You have heard him on No Huddle, I think, before as a guest. He has been on Inside the Jungle. You've heard Chandler before. He's that country dude that we love to joke on so much. But let me go back to this question. I just realized I didn't answer it. He said he's not going to comment on the situation. The depth chart that apparently was not a depth chart this week. Go figure, is what Hugh basically was saying. Had Jarquez as the top one, followed by Damari. Basically what you thought it would be. My gut still tells me that there's going to be some sitting out portion for Jarquez to start off this game at the very least. But I don't know. He's been practicing like it's not the case. He wasn't there for the first couple of days. Maybe that's all it was. We will know in 36 hours. 24 would be Thursday night. 48 would. Oh, wow. That was really bad, Kyle. We will know in about under 60 something hours, something like that. Math is hard, y'all. Unbeaten Lake says tomorrow will mark the 10. I told you math was hard. The 10-year anniversary of the beginning of the 2013 season when we beat Mike Leach's. Oh man, that just, you have to bring the name up. That just makes me hurt. Washington State Cougars. Yes, I was there for that. I have been privileged to be at every head coach's first game since Gene. And I know that's not a lot for most of you people out there probably watching, but for me it is. So I was at Cadillacs, I was at Brian's, I was at Gus's, Gene's. Yeah, so I will be at the first one for Hugh. So that's pretty cool as well. Thomas Manville's on Facebook tonight. What is going on? Everybody's going to like different places and accessing it that way. It's throwing me off a little bit. Good to see you though, Thomas. Good to see you, Devin, checking in with us too. What's going on? Are you in the kitchen, baseball field, one of the two? Where are you at tonight? I'd love to hear some of my Concord Club people calling in tonight. No pressure, but kind of pressure. Big Simp says we already explained to UMass, come get the check, and that's all they need to worry about. I have a feeling that UMass understands that they are finding an Auburn team that is still trying to find its footing. And if there's ever a time that a UMass can come into Jordan-Hare and have an opportunity to win, now is the time. Now, that is not me saying that I think they're going to win. I don't think that they're going to win. In fact, I think Auburn will do what they should do and handle them pretty easily. But if ever there was a time, this is the time. So don't think that they're walking in here just expecting a check. They're walking in here thinking they're going to fight and win the game. Gregorio, good to see you, sir. Thanks for checking in. And yeah, Cedric asks, why is Dion even coming up? We have a freeze warning on the planes. Well, because Cedric, we love to talk about anything here on Auburn Family Night. And so if the Auburn family asks a question that's related to that, we're going to head that direction. And I will find a way to circle it back to Auburn, which I feel like we did. That's why. And it's always fun to kind of mix it up a little bit every single time we get the opportunity to. Mr. Brian checking in from Minnesota. Good to see you. All right, we got our first caller so far, so let's go ahead and check in with him. And then, oh, now look at this. Thomas is on the YouTube. He's throwing me off. He's everywhere tonight. All right, let's say hello to our first caller tonight. I'll get back to your comments and questions in the chat, but keep them coming and hang out with each other. You know him, you love him, Mr. Optimism, Mr. Kevin. What's going on, sir?
I can't wait. I'll see you on Saturday.
Saturday, you gonna come see me at Tiger Walk?
Yeah, at Tiger Walk.
All right, you just look for me, the guy with it'll be a phone, but a camera phone. facing the banner. I will be there. What are you excited about Saturday other than seeing me?
The football team.
The football team. Well, yeah, that's pretty good. What about the football teams got you excited?
The wide receivers and quarterbacks and running backs and defense backs.
So basically the whole team, but not the linebackers, not the defensive back or the defensive linemen. Just
Yeah,
those. I know.
everyone.
I'm just messing with you, Kevin. So who's your one player that you are most excited to see play on Saturday?
Jaquez Hunter.
So you think he's going to play? You think he's all done with whatever was going on?
Yeah, he's all done with that.
You heard it here first, folks. Kevin has said it is all over with, and we are ready to see Jarquez out there running. So if he's your favorite person and you think he's going to play, how many yards rushing do you think he has?
198.
198 is a solid day at the office.
Yeah.
Very capable of doing that. Now, I would counter what you said there and say that Jarquez would have 198 combined, meaning rushing and receiving, because we know how dynamic he can be when you just get the ball in his hands.
He will score 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns, all rushing or receiving? Any extras there?
The quarterback will pass the ball to him sometimes too.
Do you think he'll catch a touchdown pass though, Jarquez?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or throw one.
You think Jarquez is going to throw one?
He did last year.
He did. That's fair. I'm not going to disagree with you, but there was a different time, different things going on, little desperate times.
You will see Demario Austin and Brian Beatty in the second half.
Yes. Well, I bet we're going to see Damari in the first half. Here's, aside from the whole Jarquez may or may not play thing, Damari Austin will see snaps in the first half. I'm not a betting person, so this is not me offering up a paycheck or anything to anybody, but I would bet money that he's going to play in the first half. Yeah. I think you can take that to the bank.
And the main wide receiver will be Javaris Johnson.
So it looked like it was Javaris. The names were listed by Hugh, even though he doesn't have a depth chart.
Moore.
Who?
Colt Moore.
Coy Moore. No, I think it was Shorter and
Maldon.
Mardner? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Mardner is a little bit injured though, so you got to remember that he was apparently got something he's dealing with. It sounds like we don't have an injury bug, but it sounds like we may have a little bit of people nicked up and stuff that comes out of fall camp.
I hope Nehemiah Pritchett playing.
He was one of those that people are a little concerned about. Hugh said in his press conference on Monday that he was a little banged up. He maintained today that all of the injury people, the goal is to have them play, and hopefully that's going to happen.
He said that Robbie will play.
He did. So, and I know you're a big Robbie Ashford fan, as we all are. So I think you'll get to see him out there running, but I bet you he's going to get to throw the ball a little bit too. So it's going to be a fun day for all of Kevin's favorites. Who's that down there?
My girlfriend.
Well, hello there. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
My prediction, we will win 48-0.
48-0. I love it. That's a great way to end on. We'll ask everybody who calls in tonight what their prediction is to end the call. So 48-0, you are on the clock, sir.
You think Thomas calls in?
Well, he's heard your call out to him. So if he doesn't, he's going to disappoint you, Kevin. So we'll see if he does here in a little bit. But buddy,
this will be my first game.
This will be your first game?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to potentially see you guys there. So good luck the rest of the week. Keep the excitement going, and we'll see you on Saturday.
See you Saturday. War Eagle.
All right. War Eagle, buddy. All right. Great to hear from Kevin and girlfriend. I didn't even ask her name. I forgot about that. But good way to start off the show tonight. I want to tap into Kevin's positivity all season long. Yes, he is Mr. Optimism, Captain Optimism. Even when times are tough, you can count on Kevin to raise our spirits. So let's keep rolling. As I said, I'll get back to your comments and questions, but keep them coming in the chat. Let's go ahead and talk to our next caller who's in line. Mr. Gregorio, what's going on, sir?
Hey, what's up, Kyle?
How you doing tonight, sir?
Oh man, I'm doing great. I'm pumped. I'm ready for football. It's been, each day that it gets closer, it gets harder to go to sleep.
Yes, I know what you mean. I think as I've gotten older, I don't get myself so ramped up that I can't sleep the night before, but I may just sleep a little bit less. Just here's the thing is I will be arriving in Auburn on Friday, probably early, to be honest with you, to do all the work that I do to share the experience with you guys. But the problem is going to be for me, I'm going to see people that I haven't seen in a while that are going to be coming to campus. And I mean, there's going to be too much to do that's surrounding the game, plus the excitement of the game and just, the official week 1 of college football. It's going to be hard to get some decent sleep for everybody.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I don't know, like I said, it's just to me, since I'm older now, beginning of a new season for Auburn football, it's like waking up when you were a kid on Christmas. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know. I feel you. I feel you on that one. I remember there was one year, it wasn't too long ago. Probably was I in college before I got to Auburn? I don't know, but I just distinctly remember this one night before the game started. So it was a Friday evening, doing nothing but watching and YouTube was a thing back then, just watching every hype video, replay of great clips that I could find on the internet back in whatever version of the internet it was back then, and just nonstop. And my parents came into the room and were like, "Are you ever going to stop? You're going to peak before the game's even starting." So I'm like, "Oh, I ain't peaking. This is just me getting warmed up." And sure enough, yeah, I mean, I had plenty of energy the next day. So it's exciting. I'm excited as well.
Yeah, yesterday when I got off work, I got home, ate dinner, and I think I watched an hour-long video. It was just the highlights from the whole 2010 season.
It's funny because I always wonder when those channels are going to get taken down, if they will, because most of those are not supposed to be broadcasting those. Because I often get asked, why don't you put the clips up? You can get away with it sometimes, but it's always interesting to me how long those channels will last out there. But I'm thankful for them because without them, we don't get to watch some of those things over and over and over and over again. And especially if you want to go back and watch what worked last year, compared to, it's going to be hard this year because we're going to be comparing a Harsin coach team, which wasn't all that great, to a Hugh Freeze coach team, which we're not really sure what's going to look like at this point. Either way, whether it's highlights, whether it is, best plays from last year or previous years, that's one of the greatest rituals, is just to kind of get yourself hyped up the day before and get as much Auburn content in as you can.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I did want to ask, do you plan on this season? Because the last season you did it, I enjoyed it. When you each game you would have someone that you knew that was a fan of the other team. Come, you'd have a show. Do you this year?
Yes, that is a great question. I've said it a couple of different times, but it's just important to repeat it because I know everybody gets to hear every show. I am planning to do that. Here's the trouble. Here's the problem. Do you know any UMass fans?
Oh no, I don't think I have.
Now listen, have I exhausted every effort to find one this week? No, I've done a little bit of digging, but my goal would be to have someone on each week on Thursday evenings. It sounds like, from what I kind of look out there in the YouTubes, we're going to have a lot of competition for Thursday evenings at 8:00, which is going to be a little bit challenging with a lot of other YouTube channels going live, but we're probably still going to do it that same time, same kind of format, where even if we don't have a voice here, I will get on here and allow, maybe some callers in or something like that, or our Booster Club members to call in and talk alongside me, just to do a prediction of sorts. I like to not just predict the scores on those shows. I like to, predict who's going to rush for this, who's going to throw for that, how many interceptions, how many, yards is the other team going to get. I like to talk through more than just the score in those games. So that's a long answer to your question. Essentially, we would like to do something similar. It just may not be a UMass fan this week. If you find one, let me know, because I'd like to talk to them.
I'll send him your way, but I feel I think Brian's a little closer. He might have met one before. I'm not sure.
Brian, I guess he's up in the north, but there's still the Great Lakes separating Massachusetts and Minnesota. So I don't know. Maybe he does. If we were playing the Minnesota Gophers, even though he's an Auburn fan, he'd be the perfect person to talk to because he's very familiar with them up there. So if anybody, let me just go ahead and put this out here since Gregorio asked this. Anybody knows a Cal fan? I know Sanford people, so that's probably a high likelihood. New Mexico State, I know nobody. I've got somebody probably for LSU. For Ole Miss, I've got somebody likely. A lot of the SEC teams will be easy to find. The trouble is I like to get somebody who's not like well established. Does that make sense? Like the big names out there and stuff like that. Nothing against them, but that's just that's what we are. We're not big time over here. So I kind of like to keep it in that same vein as possible. But it's a good question. That's how I'm operating with it right now.
Yeah, I enjoyed those videos, and they were pretty good last season. I just wanted to ask to make sure. I figured you would plan on doing it again, but
yeah, there's also been some personal scheduling stuff too for these next 2 weeks that have made definitively adding something a little bit challenging at times. So that's part of the reason where I haven't like publicized the schedule a whole lot, because a lot could change for me the next 2 weeks just with some schedule stuff that I've got going on. But other than that, the plan is pretty much the same.
Well, I want to ask you, who do you think for the UMass game? Who do you think is going to have the best game on the team?
On either side of the ball?
Yep.
I think the easy answers would be to say that it's going to be on the offensive side of the ball. Just given it's Hugh Freeze's team and he's an offensive minded guy. And that's what we're all itching to see anyway. And that's what everybody gets most excited about. Let's be honest. I have a stinking suspicion though, that we're going to see somebody just truly ball out on defense. And I don't know who that is. My gut's kind of leaning like an edge rusher. So maybe an Elijah McAllister. If you've been listening for a while, you know how much I've been hyping him up. A linebacker. If you remember, we had Cam Riley last year in the first game who just went bonkers. So is he capable of that again against a team like this? Maybe. I think it was like 13 solo tackles and like 1 assist. And then I think he even had like a forced fumble or something like that. So he just had a monster game. So that's when you asked me the question, who I think is going to have the best game, I think it's going to be somebody on defense that we're not talking about.
Yeah, for me, I think if he's healthy, I think it could be Jalen McLeod. I think
Jalen McLeod. It's a good one.
I think he could probably end up with 2 sacks, to be honest.
Yeah. So to me, for like if we're talking both edge, defensive end, maybe outside linebacker situation, if someone rakes in double-digit tackles and adds like a forced fumble, a recovered fumble, an interception, maybe like 2 or 3 sacks, to me, that's going to move them over someone like a Peyton Thorne throwing for 200, a Jarquez going for 150, because like, let's be honest, we all kind of expect Jarquez to do that. We kind of expect Damari to be able to do that too. Wide receivers, if someone just has a 100-yard receiving game, that may just do it for us at this point, because that's how bad it's been. So to me, when you ask that question, that's where my mind goes, because there's a lot of things I anticipate to already probably going to happen. I'm trying to think about what would be the most not unlikely, but the most unanticipated major game that would make people go, wow. Because that's what we were talking about with Cam Riley last year.
Yep. And, you and Kevin were talking about the starting receiver, the receivers. I think it'll be I think Hooks is going to start.
Yeah.
I know, everybody's talking about him right now, but I think if he can figure it out, like Hugh Freeze said, and, try every single snap, I think he'd be wide receiver 1. Also think
good.
Also think Camden Brown could start.
Mm-hmm.
And at slot, it's probably going to be Johnson, but I could see Jay Fair.
Yeah, Jay Fair has been very interesting for a guy that came in with a lot of hype, kind of got lost in the shuffle. last year with everything that was going on, and there wasn't a lot of conversation about him. And then all of a sudden, just spring ball, fall camp, and we get to the end of this, even though there's not a depth chart according to Hugh Freeze, he finds himself not just on a supposed depth chart, but he's being talked about a lot. So that's intriguing to me. Is it more that he was being underutilized, or did he just take the next step? Because a lot of the times you see these guys come to campus, and even if they're super hyped, it takes them a season to get their bodies right, to get their minds right, and learn not just the way that a coach, a program, or a system wants to do things, but what college life is like, what it demands of you. And so maybe that's what we're seeing with Jay Fair. So I'm excited too about him.
Yeah, especially when you think about they're coming from high school straight into the best conference in college football, and the best college football too, with us being in the West for this last year. But I mean, I think with how Hugh Freeze runs offense, I think Jay Fair could do pretty well.
Yep. So he's definitely one to keep in mind. I think there's going to be a lot of pleasant surprises in this game. And look, it's UMass. So a lot of people are going to get opportunities to shine in this one, which is what you really want in a game like this. You want the initial hype of we're playing football, and then you want the hype of putting them away, and then finally seeing some of those players that you probably won't get to see a lot the whole game. So a lot of things to take. We're going to be there's a lot to talk about after this game. And I'm excited for it. So I want to, maybe to end here, get your final prediction from you. And we'll probably do a stream tomorrow night previewing the game, so you can talk about it then too. But I would like to just get your prediction.
I think in a perfect world, I think the final score would be, to be honest, I think it would be 51-14.
51-14?
Some people may be like, oh, we let, UMass score 2 touchdowns, but it could be fourth quarter, because I'm hoping by the time the end of the third quarter happens, I'm hoping that we're not having to put the first stringers out there anymore.
And the other aspect of that too, I'm glad you brought that up, is Hughes even said in his press conferences how much he doesn't know about this team offensively. Now, we saw the first game against New Mexico State, but of course, we're not going to show that much in our first game. They didn't show that much, I'm sure. Well, maybe they did. I don't know. I didn't watch a whole lot of the game. And so they're going to have a bag of tricks. They're coming in here trying to upset Auburn in a time where it's probably the easiest it's ever going to be. So like you said, if you're predicting 14 points, that doesn't offend me in any way, because that could happen. It could happen at the end of the game. It could happen on a weird play they had waiting, sitting there for us. Who knows? So
yeah, I think that'll be the score, and that'll be pretty good too. So
yep. Well, it's good to hear from you tonight. And obviously, hopefully we'll hear from you again next week and talk about your thoughts after that.
Yep. War Eagle, Kyle.
All right, War Gregorio. Good to hear from him. We got another one in the docket. Stand by. We will bring you in a second, sir. And then we'll keep moving right along. Let me hit some of the comments and questions maybe that came up the last 2 calls. I don't know if I referenced this, but Devin's on the couch, not in the kitchen, not at the baseball field. So good to know her location tonight. That's a running joke for people who have not been here a long time. Apparently, Corey is giving us our Spanish lesson tonight. Believe it or not, I know exactly what that says. So my Spanish in high school did stick somewhat. Not to say that that's the hardest sentence to make out there. Michael says, won't be able to make it to a game at all this year. Oh, new baby. No room for extra spending. Understood. Completely understood. But next year, I hope to take her to her first game day. That is going to be extra special. That is going to be awesome. Really, really excited for you to experience that. All right. Well, let's go ahead and say hello to some people that may be waiting in the back here. You know him, you love him. Mr. Thomas Manville. He heard the call of Mr. Kevin.
Yeah, I was in the car when that happened, so I wasn't able to call right away. So I had to zip over here, unload groceries, and here we go.
How does that make you feel that callers are asking for you?
I'm all right with it. I mean, I'm not just great knowledge or wealth of knowledge, but I just love football, man. I can't help it, especially Auburn football.
I mean, look, do y'all just want me to hand the show over to him? We got people just cheering you on. It's not that hard.
Still pressure. I don't like that.
All right, man. Take me to school. What you thinking about?
I'll just go straight into score prediction. I'm gonna augment a little bit after watching a little bit more film this week with UMass and New Mexico State, but I'm gonna say 48-10 Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fair score.
So you referenced watching a little bit more film.
Mm-hmm.
When you watched that, did your score adjust? I know you maybe didn't have a solid score out there, but did you adjust that more in favor of like Auburn winning more or them scoring more? Like, how did you adjust?
Yeah, I think my original prediction was 56-14 Auburn, but I'm going to bring it down a little bit because, one, I don't think Hugh Freeze is going to be the type of guy to run up the score on the little guy, so to speak. But I just the way that I watched UMass play, I think they're going to have some turnovers, but I don't think they're going to be pick sixes.
Yeah.
I mean, we can still scoop and score easy enough, but I think we've got to win the turnover battle in every game we play. We just need to, but I think we can do it with this one. Their style of offense I'm not going to lie, it was fun to watch, but it's not that great. Yeah. And their defense, I think certain aspects of their defense, they're undersized. They really are. But we've got a giant defensive line, and they've got a pretty good size offensive line, but I don't really like their footwork, and I don't like their hand placement. I think we can go in there and make some dollars off of their offensive line realistically.
If I remember correctly, Hugh even brought that up on his press conference this week and said it'll be a good matchup and test on both sides of the line here, even acknowledging, like you said, let's be honest, this is UMass. 99.9999% of the time, they're never going to be in Auburn's league. There's always a chance. So there is that element as well. But it sounds like at least we may get a little bit of a competitiveness for at least part of the game. Now, my gut is going to tell me this. Now, did they play at New Mexico State? Did they play at UMass?
They played at New Mexico State.
So they got a little bit of heat taste. So they're at least maybe ready for that. Although the weather looks like it might be outstanding, folks. Well, relatively speaking, given what we've been dealing with.
Look, if they were coming to play last week, I'd be worried about them. But this week, it's cool outside compared to what it was last week.
I know not to make light of anybody dealing with a hurricane right now, but for those of us that don't have to face the ramifications of that, it usually brings some nice, we'll call it balmy weather for this time of year. Yeah. And luckily, it looks like for a 2:30 Central Time kickoff, it could be nice. But back to what I was saying, yes, I think if this was going to be one of those hot games, they would eventually wear down much quicker than we would, given that we've been practicing in the elements, the heat, the humidity. And you factor in the uncorking of what is going to be the Auburn faithful when they get an opportunity with a new rejuvenated program, new system, new coaches, new players. Let's just talk about that for a second. All the new players, all of that combined, even without the elements of heat and stuff, it's just going to be probably too much for UMass.
Yeah. We like you said, the new players, Hugh Freeze and his staff pretty much revamped the entire team in a recruiting cycle, or the winter and the spring and the summer. They brought in the pieces that they looked at the team and said, we don't have what we need. We got to bring it in. And they brought in what they think is going to work, or what they could get to fill positions of need.
Absolutely.
And one of those, and there's Gregorio's comment, is one of the biggest problems was the O-line. I don't dislike any of the guys that we had over the last couple of years, but we had some serious holes to fill. It was pitiful at times. That's why when we would do the post-game grading, I would give them a U for unsatisfactory, because it sucked. It did. But they brought in big bodies. They brought in the guys that are built a certain way to play certain positions, but they're also putting them in different positions. We saw Gunnar Britton play a little bit of left guard instead of right tackle, which is odd, but he knows how to play multiple positions along the line. Center's a different animal, but I feel really good with Connor Lew backing up Avery Jones. I think that's a huge get for us. Like this, I'm not a betting man either, but I'll bet you a Coca-Cola and $1 he's going to the league. Connor Lew.
Well, Hugh talked about him early on when he got here, and just saying he's not necessarily ready to start for us now, but he will be.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the kid's got a motor in him, and it doesn't seem to stop, and that's what you need. You got to play nasty, you got to play mean. We did a really good job picking up Dylan Wade at left tackle, even though he's a little undersized. Like, his measurables are different. Like, the dude's got some massive hands on him. Like, if he gets those mitts on you, it's going to be real tough to get away from him. But I think that him being a little shorter, if you've got a real, a guy that's 6'8" and 340 something pounds playing tackle, somebody like a Jalen McLeod's going to run right underneath him and go around him. So I think having him on the left side, anchoring the quarterback's blind side, so to speak, and like that's why they get paid more than anybody else in the pros to depending on what hand your quarterback throws with.
Right.
So I feel solid with that. We got the big dog himself, Jeremiah Wright, sitting there at left guard on the depth chart, so to speak. He's nasty, man. Like, watch for 76. He's going to put some people in the dirt, and then he's going to keep going and put more people in the dirt. Like, the reference I made before is you need linemen who will habitually escort people out of the club. And he's
I love that.
And then Cam Stutz is a massive human being sitting there at the right guard. So right there in the middle, man, we are stacked up, and then we got good tackles. It's going to look completely different for us to watch an Auburn quarterback stand there and go through his progressions of the receivers and be able to potentially make a play and make a throw instead of got to leave. It's just going to look different.
It'll be interesting that we actually can like breathe for half a second and not as soon as the ball is snapped, like run, dude, run, like just find a space somewhere. We could count on Bo to work some magic out of that. Robbie had a tendency to do that too. Everybody else struggled with the aspect of that, which is why I think we saw who we saw at quarterback a lot of the time, just given what was going on there. What I love about this offensive line is, yes, the new names and the new start for it. But what I also love is, I've talked about this a lot here, my admiration for players that have stuck it out. Cam Stutz is someone that's been here. He's been part of the ridicule of this offensive line, meaning that he's a part of that unit and the team. But, he's played, but he hasn't been necessarily one of the guys in the mix unless needed, called upon. But now he's here. He's won, obviously, the job, given all that talent that's come in from the depth chart, if it is a real depth chart. We know he's going to contribute, whether it's starting or not. And so I love seeing a guy like that that's been here, paid his dues, whether you're talking about him, a Luke Deal, someone like that has been through the fire with this team, this program over the last 2 or 3 years, and is getting their shot. And I'm rooting for someone like him. Yeah.
And Auburn tends to have one of those guys every so often. We had not the greatest year in 2001, 2002, 2003, but some of those guys stuck around and stayed with that program. And then you got the 04 season when they're seniors and they just blow it up.
Right.
And then you got, we had a couple of down years here and there. Then we've got the national championship winning year. And some of those guys were there for 3 or 4 years, and they finally got the team got put together right, and they had that opportunity. And they stayed with it. That's the definition of an Auburn man when it comes to sports for me is you don't tuck tail and run. You stay there, you fight. Ever to conquer, never to yield. There's a point behind that. There's a reason that we say that. And they stuck it out. They fought through it. And look at the results when they stayed and they fought. And Cody Burns, that could have tucked tail and run, but he never did. He stayed in there. He fought, clawed, scratched, climbed the ladder, whatever he had to do. And he's got a ring. And he's an Auburn legend because he didn't run away. And he stood up there and said, we're going to support this guy at quarterback.
You're trying to play to my heartstrings right now, bud. You know how much I love my Cody Burns. That's my boy. That is my boy. I've watched his speech to the team when he realized that Chris Todd was being named the starting quarterback. I can't watch that without it getting a little dusty in this room. So people like that are sacrificial, that wait for their opportunities, even if it means that they don't get to do necessarily what they thought they were going to get to do here, are extra special stories. In Cody's case, as you said, he became a prominent wide receiver for the team, especially under Cameron Newton. And he's the first one to score the touchdown for Auburn in the championship game. How cool is that? So whether we're talking about Cam, we're talking about Luke Deal, we can keep going with, several other, these Wesley Steiner, anybody that's been around here for a while, whether they are starters. I'm just ready to see them go out there and get the fruits of their labor, so to speak. So
I want to see the big dogs eat, man. They put in their time, they put in that work.
Yep, it is definitely their opportunity to shine. I hope they get it this year. Let's round out our call. I know you kind of gave us that prediction, but again, just to round out, what's your prediction for the game?
I'm still going to stick at 48-10 as a final score. I can't wait for Saturday. I'll be up about 6 in the morning firing up the smoker. I got pork butts to cook. I got bacon. I'm ready, man. It's football time. It's barbecue, baby.
Throw a little mac and cheese in there. You got me. You might find me over there instead of at the game.
I think smoked mac and cheese is coming in maybe for the Cal game because we're going to eat before the game.
Smoked mac and cheese.
Gotta have it.
Goodness gracious. All right. Before you make me hungrier than I need to be, I'm going to get you out of here. But, hey, always good to hear from you. We'll be talking much more.
All right, Warrior. Y'all have a good night.
Warrior, buddy. All right. 3 great callers in a row. Thank you guys so much. If you want to call in, please do. You can use the link at the top of the chat here on YouTube. It's not on Facebook for those of you that are on the Facebook and want to take part in that. You have to come over here to do that. You're more than welcome to watch over there. We've hit a lot tonight. We're going to go back and hit some of the comments that you guys had during those calls until we get somebody else that wants to. But as is every Wednesday night, we're just going to bounce around to whatever you all want to discuss. Can y'all hear my chair creaking? Does it sound that loud? Somebody let me know. I'm always like, y'all hear that bad? I need to get some oil on that. Let's see here. How many players does everyone see going pro this year? Corey, that is hard to answer. I've actually thought about this a little bit myself. There are so many transfers in that have 1 final year of eligibility, or they have like 2. And if they ball out this year, they might go early. So like you would normally look at your seniors and maybe look at your prominent players like a Jarquez, who you expect to have a good year, just given their workload, the skill type of players, and that they're probably going to leave, or that they have a good chance of leave early. I don't know. I mean, if anybody else has got a prediction, let me know. Devin reminded us of this earlier. We have 5 straight days of college football starting tomorrow. How glorious. Can't wait to see Auburn on Saturday. My dad will be in town, like in town in Dallas or in town in Auburn. First time we watched an Auburn game together in a bit. Okay, so in Dallas. I was about to say, I need to hang out with Devin's dad if he comes to town. DJ James, Pritchard, Jarquez. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to get to some of the things we haven't hit yet. Gregorio says people are worried about our D line, but if our offensive line is as good as we think, that'll just make our defensive line better each practice. There's a lot of that going on. So Hugh has talked about it in the conversation of, is our offense this good, or has our defense been pushing us to make us look this good? Like in either scenario, it sounds like the offense is probably better than maybe anticipated, but is our defense just that good and it's finally brought our offense up to that level? We won't really know until we get into the stiff competition. You won't probably know a lot of that this week. Cal may give you a little bit of an idea. Samford probably won't, but it's really that Texas A&M game is really where we will be able to make a lot of informed assumptions about this team 4 games into the year, which is about where it normally always is. Tonio, good to see you, sir. Cody Burns is the true definition of a teammate. Now listen, the goal is not to make Kyle cry on the live stream. Y'all go get me talking about my boy. Cody Burns is a man among Auburn men and always will be. Whew. Love that dude so much. He, let's see. I thought I had something of his in here. Did I not? Now, Cadillac's always going to be my guy. That's my number 1 player, especially after what he did for us last season, especially after last year. If there was ever a question that he was going to be unseated, last year ended it. Cadillac Williams will forever be my favorite Auburn player, not just because of what he did on the field, not just because of some of the amazing plays, go crazy Cadillac, all that, but because of what he meant to this team in its time of need last year for the final 4 games. It doesn't get much better than that. So sorry, Cody. I love you dearly. but Cadillac's my guy. Don't worry, when we come for the Iron Bowl in 2025, I'll make sure for y'all to meet up. Awesome. Would love that. I am disappointed that it won't happen this year as you had anticipated, but we're obviously the reason is a good one for you not to head down this way. But I was looking forward to that. I mean this when I say this. Kevin and I talked about it. One day I hope for us maybe to have a congregation point. I want to call it a tailgate right now. I may be experimenting with something like that this year. There's not going to be a lot of definitives. Being very cryptic, I know. But I always want you guys to come to Tiger Walk and find me right in front of the banner. I'll be live streaming Tiger Walk. So during it, I won't be able to talk a whole lot, but love to talk before. You can follow me over for this week. I'll be filming the Four Corners Pep Rally 2 45 minutes after that. So I'll have to rush over there to get my spot for that too. But yeah, it's a great place to come over and say hello and meet up. Or Michael Trott's here. He's seen me in the stadium before. If you guys see me, if you see AJ, I don't know, maybe people know what I look like more so than AJ. You've seen him enough to know. Come up and say hello. Tell us, what you like or don't like about the show. We always want to talk to you guys when we're out and about. I've had so many people who will come to a live stream after the fact and say, I saw you, but I just didn't feel comfortable coming up. Like, please, I'm not a celebrity. I'm just one of you guys. Please come up and say hello. This old man might end up passing out before the Cal game. What are you talking about? I'm an old man too. I will be passing out, or I will not try not to, because yes, we will do a live stream after that. I just don't know where I'll be broadcasting that from. It may be here in studio. It won't be out in Cal. That's not me being cryptic and saying I'm going to Cal. No. Can't afford that right now. Would love to have gone, but I don't know if I'll be doing it here or from parts unknown quite yet. Michael says, I always loved Ronnie Brown. I got to meet him in 2002. And when we won the first of 6 in a row. Special time. And Ronnie being back, part of the broadcast team, is extra special. He's still part of the broadcast team, right? The sideline reporter. And now Will Herring's going to be doing that too. This is like what my dad must have felt like for me. I know everybody's different ages here, when he would see Stan White come on as the color commentator, or Pat Sullivan was that before. The people that I grew up watching as an adolescent are now coming back to Auburn and staying. Isn't that just awesome? This is extra special. Might be able to talk the husband into coming for a game next year. Let me know. We'll all hang out. Yes, John, I agree. And that's what this, whether we're talking about this live stream, we're talking about, in town for game day or whatever, it's just always nice to get together with people. And that's what we're about here. We're not the biggest Auburn community out there. We're growing every day, and I appreciate all of y'all's help with that. I just love being with a group of people that I get to know on some level, on a weekly basis. So you guys mean a lot to me personally. You mean a lot to E2C Network and those that contribute to this. So it's very much appreciated. Corey says all the experts, is that the same quotation marks around the depth chart, have us beating Bama this year? I have to see it to believe it. I agree, given what we know currently about Auburn and what we know currently about Alabama. I talked about this last night on our group record prediction show. I just don't buy into the whole, they're going to suffer because of quarterback this year. Maybe. But to me, I would rather see us play them play a little bit before I start making definitive statements like that. But then when you think about 2021, no business beating that Alabama team, and we were seconds away from doing that. Not a second, but seconds. Pac-12 after dark, passing out on the couch, waking up just in time to see who wins. I have at times enjoyed the Pac-12 after dark, back when USC was consistently legitimate, meaning I was rooting for some team to beat them every time. So since there hasn't been quite so dominant of a team, Oregon maybe at times, it really hasn't felt like a need to stay up and make it appointment television. And now we'll be talking about the Big Ten after dark, the ACC after dark, if they add those teams. Mountain West wouldn't be after dark. They're already out there anyway, you know. Yes, Ronnie is on the sideline. Thank you. I thought so. I kind of panicked for a little bit when I was like, did he leave and Will Herring replace him? I think it's just he's coming in to help out. Because if you think about it, with Jason, can we just talk about Jason Campbell being the partner in the booth coming up? That's pretty awesome. With him taking that role, I'm sure it's opened opportunities up for people like Will. Will the Herb Hand curse finally be over this year? No, we are still a little bit of a ways away from that. And it's going to take, I think Thomas would even tell you this, that just because we see some great things this year, probably from the offensive line, doesn't mean we've turned the corner necessarily. It might mean that offensive lines take years to build and build behind. We're starting that now. I think this year and next year, you will see slow progression. That third year with the young group we have currently could be special. Could be. And Thomas Manville, you continue to be way too generous. Thank you for the super chat, sir, and your vote of confidence in us and helping us keep the lights on here. So thank you so much. You are too kind, sir. Too kind. Ready to hear Jason doing the color analysis. I agree. Like, it'll be so different, right? Because we're used to hearing Stan White be there and the way he does things, the way his cadence is. And Jason's going to be different, right? But it's the same way that Rod was different from Jim Fife, and Andy's different from, and now we don't even look at them as, you know, they're their own thing. So it'll be a unique year. This is a good time for change all the way around, starting a new, fresh era of everything. Unfortunately, you know, some of those were not good things that caused all that change, but things like Jason, he deserves it, as you said. Those are good things that we should be excited about. So much new. Like, I don't have the time, energy to cover and talk about all the things that we could talk about here at E2C Network, but I am excited about it. All right, we are sitting at almost an hour. We'll keep going for a little while if you guys would like to. So I appreciate you all being here. So don't go away just yet. But if you want to take the opportunity to call in tonight, you need to do it now, because we'll start shutting that down in just a little bit here. So if you want to call in, hit the link here on YouTube. It is completely, you can be anonymous. You can just type your name in, don't have to be on camera, or you can be on camera like most have. Would love to hear any final thoughts, but keep your comments coming. Let me go ahead and do this part of the show, and then we'll get back to everything else. I don't have a little marquee ready for you for what's next. I am anticipating tomorrow night at 8 to do a preview show of sorts for the UMass game, predictions, not just about the score, but about what might happen throughout the game. So be here for that if you can. Would love to see you here and part of that show too. Friday. Well, basically from the weekend on, if you are not following E2C Network on every social media account, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, you are missing out. If you're not following on YouTube, you are missing out. Content is going to be everywhere. There will be some overlap, but there will be some exclusive things. On game day especially, or just I would be following our Twitter/X account, our stories. Don't want to miss out on the thing. And of course, if you're a Conquer Club member, you will be getting at that certain level, you will get some exclusive stuff from me. So be looking for that too. Plenty of content coming out, a post-game show, not exactly what time that'll be, but we'll go ahead and make a watch time for that. And of course, Sunday, here's the big thing, folks. Sunday, we are going to be doing the Auburn Experience Show Right now, we are going to do it at our normally scheduled time of 9, but there is hope that we will do a show together, me and Austin, in the same room, location, potentially. Cannot guarantee that yet, but hoping to do that maybe somewhere on campus. I don't know yet. We'll find out. We're trying to do some new things. This is a new year. It's a new era. Stand by. As always, check out the links in the description for ways that you can help support us here. Join in the Booster Club here at YouTube, over at Patreon. Same thing, just a little bit of difference, but they basically get the same thing. Links in the description. All those ways that you can help support us here at E2C Network. Okay, let's get back into it and talk about some of your comments and questions. Let's see, my arm was a little stiff there. We have a strong foundation to build the offensive line in the next 2 seasons. We need more solid recruits, and with improvement and NIL comes better recruits. I know that there's a lot of trepidation about the offensive line recruiting currently. I don't frequent message boards a lot, but I kind of peek in at some just to test the temperature of things from time to time. And I know that's a big thing right now. I understand why. I think maybe some of it too is because this recruit who's committing DeAndre Carter out of California, if Auburn gets him, wow, on Sunday. I think maybe that's, I don't want to say it's cooling, but I think people are getting nervous about it, and that's starting to kind of quell those fears back up. But people forget that the transfer portal is still available. There's other offensive linemen out there too. I know that there's some trepidation about that, but a lot of the times we panic and don't look at what we already have here. There's a really good foundation that's waiting to be built up here. And so you will see some offensive line recruits this year, but it may not be the amount and the ones you exactly think we needed / wanted. So that'd be my take on it. It's a process. Everybody just be patient with it. The great announcers in Auburn history. Yes, some good ones there. Oh, good question. So you're saying Jim Fife and who was the color commentator with him? I know for a time it was Pat Sullivan. So you're saying Fife versus Rod era, who wins? Gosh, man. That's a tough question. Now, see, it's easy for me to say Rod because that's what I grew up in. Mostly. I was around for and listening for Jim Fife some, but he has the call, that being Jim Fife. Rod has like those amazing moments that nobody, and so it's a hard question. It's a good question. Less than 3 days left, Elliot. Go crazy. There goes Davis. Of course, the calls are definitely maybe on Rod's side, even with give the bow. I believe it is touchdown Auburn. Love to see Hugh put Saban in a 6-year drought. Well, Saban, I think, is done in 2028. So I guess you could have a 6-year drought. If he has a 3-year drought, he'll be out. I think a loss, like let's just assume it happened. Discussion whether or not the validity of that out the door. Let's just say he beat him this year, beat him next year, and then beat him a third year. I think that's it for Saban. That would tarnish his legacy a little bit. The Jim Fife call against Florida, Calvin Jackson runs it around the end back after the interception in the end zone. Yep, that's a good one. If we get past Georgia, look out. It'll be like Gus took over in 2013 after a horrible 2012. I'm going off of our history of being up and down all the time. Yeah, no, I think there's a history there that makes it very easy to make the case that Auburn could have a magical 2013 year all over again. But especially when you compare to the 2013 team, Gus re-inherited basically his same team. Now, he had to go out there and win with them, but his players were still there, essentially. Probably more talent on the O-line than in the 5 years. Probably. We won't know until they get out there. I do always want us to be careful of making those comparisons without actually seeing that. We have the previous group's results to go off of, and it's easy to say, well, can't get much worse than that. Oh, it can. Oh, it can. Let's see here. I like Rod's voice better. I can hear both of their names, Jim and Rod, in my head, but I think it would be interesting if we had Rod and Jim with the same audio quality, meaning equipment and stuff, doing calls like he did it back in that era with Jim, that being Rod, and then vice versa to compare. It's a good, it's a good question. Watched the volleyball matches this weekend. They look good. Got some new faces and contributing well. Yeah, I really enjoyed going to Georgia Tech for their exhibition game. Great program, great staff, great players. Excited for this year. It looks, I feel like we still got a little bit of momentum riding from last year. We'll have to wait and see when we get to some tough competition. But right now, it's a good start to the season. If we beat Saban 3 years in a row, they will part ways. They won't part ways, but they will. I think Saban chooses when he leaves now. It doesn't matter the circumstances. Elliot asked the big question that we all want to know. Why do you like Auburn? How do I count the ways? I like Auburn because it's what I was raised in. I like Auburn because it meant so much to my father and a lot of our other family members. I like Auburn because I went to school there. I like Auburn because it's a beautiful campus. I like Auburn because it has some of the most inspirational and greatest players ever in sports and greatest moments. I like Auburn because it's got a great multitude of schools, all of them. I like Auburn because it's where I met my wife. I like Auburn is because the way it smells. I don't know. It got weird. I was on a roll and then I let it falter. So it's a big question. It could go on and on. I keep forgetting, Big Simp, that LSU and Florida State are playing on Sunday. I don't like that, but then when we don't, it is kind of a nice opening weekend special thing. Especially when there's no NFL. And I'm not an NFL fan, but I at least am aware of what's going on Sundays for the NFL. I don't really sit down and watch a game, maybe like occasionally, but that will be fun. Florida State and LSU, that's a big one to start the year off with. Wide receiver with most touches this week. Let's put you guys can talk about it, but Michael, come back tomorrow. Let's use that as a good prediction question. It's a good one. We'll say that. So put a pin in that, or I'll try to remember it if you're not able to be here. Elliot answering his own question says 2 words. My grandpa. Oh, that's sweet. Or granddad, excuse me. Why do we love Auburn? Because they are not the Tide. It's true. I wonder if the Iron Bowl will reach Super Bowl status with all the glitz and glamour that is a 3-hour spectacle. I mean, it hasn't already. Listen, every Iron Bowl is different. Every year has a different feeling around it. But you will never, ever be able to convince me that 2013 Iron Bowl, even before we knew what the result was going to be, the intensity of the feeling around campus. I was there all weekend. I camped out in front. I was graduated, but you could still get into the student section with a student ticket that you had purchased from somebody. I got in, camped out in front the night before. I was fresh out of college. The energy was palpable around campus that Friday, all day Saturday. After that, I mean, it was just surreal. So has it reached Super Bowl levels? Yes, it has. Last season with CBS. Let's make it. Is it? I thought it was done after last year. I thought it was done this year. Am I wrong? I thought it was over already. Who's the receiver from Jackson State? That would be Hooks, right? Or is that Jair Shorter? I can't remember. I think it's Hooks. I think it's Shane Hooks. Help me. Somebody help me. Heard good things about him. He was awesome with Dion. I think it's Shane Hooks. I used to have all of that plugged in here into my mind, and now it's like whisked away. Anyway. All right, let's start winding our show down here. Final comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals, get them in here right now. Let's not miss anything tonight because this is your show. We're going to close the phone lines down now. Again, tomorrow night, plans to go live at about 8 with a preview show. It might just be me and you, or we may have some other contributors here to talk with us about it. If I can find a UMass fan out there, I will. By the way, also, our subscriber giveaway ended, and we're about to reach that 2-week period where the person needs to contact us. I'll just go ahead and say his name, James Waldrop. If you can't get in contact with me, we sent you a couple messages. We'll have to move on to someone else. I think this Sunday is when it ends. So James Waldrop, if you're out there, contact us. Or get in contact with me at Kyle Loomis at e2cnetwork.com, or just hit us up on social media. Hit all the links in the description for ways that you can help, help us out here. We are mainly listener supported right now, and that's a huge help to us keeping the lights on here at E2C Network Central, and lots of content this weekend. Hope y'all are ready. Hooks, thank you. Jair Shorter came from North Texas with Larry Nixon. That's how I remember it. The deal ends, the CBS deal, after the season. Then the deal with ABC, ESPN starts. What timing? What timing? You think they planned that thing out? You know what I'm referencing? One of my best friends. You have a best friend who's a Tide fan? What's wrong with you? My mom's a Tide fan, so we always have those parts of our family, right? You started with 99 until Auburn football to 3 days. Are you talking about the little clips we made? I didn't do all of the days. I kind of quickly learned I was going to run out of clips if I did that. I'm going to do a better job this year of keeping and saving some things to do something similar next off season. So we shall see what that looks like. But we started doing the 5s, and then obviously we got to 10 days a week, and then I waited to 5 days, and we'll have another one tomorrow. And I will, if you like those little shorts that we've been doing. Linda's here. Good to see you, Linda. Thank you so much. It's been great to see you popping in around everywhere. Hope you're doing well. I saw your message. I'm excited to see you at Tiger Walk. We're probably gonna have a lot of people coming by to say hello at Tiger Walk. What was I saying before I got excited about Linda being here? I don't know. So much to talk about. Oh, the shorts. So there will be one tomorrow. You have to come and see what it is. The one for the last day will come very late in the evening, and it will be from campus. So I think I know where I'm taking it from. Probably, when I say late, probably no later than 10 o'clock, but just be looking, just be waiting. It's almost here, folks. Literally just one more day of waiting, because to me, it starts on Friday. Big Simp, again, just like Thomas, thank you so much for your continued support, being a Conquer Club member, but also a contributor here in these ways with these super chats. That is very much appreciated. Not necessary, but it is very much appreciated for helping keep the lights on here. And the only reason we get to do things like this is because of guys like all of you, but just the fact that you're here watching, supporting, listening in whatever way you can, even if it's hitting the like button. That's the big thing there. Glad you guys like that. I hear a train a-coming. I've had some people say, Kyle, we're done with it. Let's move on. I said, nah, I've gone too long with it now. So anyway, all right, folks, hour 13 minutes, been a good show. I'm excited. I hope all of you are. We made it. We have made it, folks. Ready for this weekend, ready to be back with the Auburn faithful, ready to see some of you. Follow along everywhere for E2C Network. Don't miss a moment. Lots of content from YouTube all over the place, starting now until the end of the weekend, because I'll be there basically till Sunday. You guys are the best little family within the Auburn family, and I appreciate you being here. And since he asked, we will end with that. Everybody, I guess if you want to do it in unison together, you can. I can't hear you. But with that being said, whoa, Eagle.